Welcome to Dreamy Sleep Tales, your sanctuary for soothing stories and peaceful slumber. Tonight, I invite you to drift away into the enchanted world of Nocturna. In this episode, we'll follow Lyra, a brave young dreamkeeper, as she embarks on a moonlit quest to restore the broken balance between dreams and reality. You'll hear whispering mushrooms, soaring staircases of starlight, and a shadow born of forgotten fears, all woven together in our tale. Lyra and the Moonlight Shard. So find your coziest spot, close your eyes, and let us journey beyond the dream bridge into realms of memory, time, and hope. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a story that guides you gently to rest. Now, take a deep breath and let us begin. The valley of Nocturna lay cradled between jagged peaks and silver rivers, hidden from the waking world. Here, bioluminescent mushrooms rose like sentinels, their caps glowing in hues of violet and rose. Every night, the river that wound through the valley shimmered with soft, liquid moonlight, and the air thrummed with the gentle pulse of magic. Legends whispered that long ago, before time had names, the moon itself had shattered, its fragments scattering across realms. One great piece fell into Nocturna and became the Moonlight Shard, a crystal of such pure glow that it kept dreams and reality in perfect balance. For centuries, nightly dream bridges unfurled, allowing children's dreams to drift from Nocturna into their slumbering minds, weaving peace and wonder into every world. But balance is fragile. The shard's light had dimmed over the ages, and its magic grew weary. And tonight, on the eve of the 1000th full moon, another star appeared in the sky, a fractured, ashen orb that pulsed with uneasy shadow. As its presence spread, the mushrooms flickered. Lullabies turned to half-remembered tunes, and the dream bridge trembled. Somewhere, beyond the river's gentle song, a hush fell over Nocturna. Dreams were in peril. Lyra awakened to restless birdsong, though no birds nested in her mushroom-roofed cottage. A pale glow filtered through the window. 2 moons hung in the sky. The familiar full moon, luminous and serene, and beside it, a dark counterpart, cracked like glass. She sat up on her moss-strewn mattress and rubbed her eyes. Even in her 12 years, Lyra had never seen two moons at once. Outside, the forest's bioluminescence pulsed erratically. The dream lanterns, delicate fungi that floated above the river, had dimmed to a faint blue. Her heart thudded. Something was wrong. Down the cobblestone path, the stream still sang its nightly lullaby, but its tone had shifted, more haunting than soothing. Lyra wrapped her shawl around slender shoulders and padded to the door. The air was cool, scented with damp earth and the faint tang of magic gone awry. As she stepped across the threshold, a soft light flickered beneath the giant mushroom caps. Tiny spores drifted like fireflies, yet their glow felt hollow. Lyra's cottage, the last dwelling before the forest's edge, stood as a lone beacon, but even its windows, aglow with warm lamplight, trembled in the strange wind. She hurried toward the stream's arching bridge, where the ancient stones formed the first link to the dream bridge. Each step echoed in the stillness. At the halfway point, Lyra paused. A single note drifted from the water, a melody she'd never heard. Yet it felt familiar, tugging at her chest like a half-forgotten memory. Kneeling beside the stream, she cupped her hands. The water had turned silver black, reflecting both moons above. She leaned closer, and the melody grew louder, as if the river itself were singing to her. "Lyra," a voice whispered. She jumped upright. No one was near. The forest was silent, save for the stream's song. "Lyra," it came again, soft, urgent. Heart pounding, she listened. The voice was not human. It had the crackle of embers and the hush of falling petals. "Find me," it said, "before shadows rise." Lyra's breath caught. She dreamed of voices before, but never one so beckoning, so real. The cracked moon pulsed overhead, as though in answer. She pressed her hand to her chest, where a small locket hung. Inside was a sliver of moonstone, a gift from her parents, lost to her memory, but held close by her heart. The moment the moonlight shard flickered against it, she knew what she must do. Turning back toward her cottage, she gathered a satchel of essentials, a dream flute carved from riverwood, a pouch of glowing moss for light, and her mother's lullaby book. Slipping the locket inside, she stepped through the door and paused. The second moon looked down with a mournful glow, as if grieving what had been stolen. Lyra swallowed her fear. She had spent her life in Nocturna, tending the dream lanterns and listening for songs in the wind. But bravery, she realized, was not the absence of fear. It was taking the first step even when the path trembled beneath you. She set her feet on the bridge stones. The arches of the old dream bridge loomed in the distance, half shrouded in mist. Their glow was faint, an urgent signal of magic fading. With one last look at the cottage's warm lights, Lyra exhaled, lifted her satchel, and walked forward. Behind her, the river's song swelled to a clarion call, a promise and a warning entwined. Tonight, Lyra's journey would begin. The night air felt alive as Lyra stepped beyond the bridge's arch into the spore-lit forest. Every leaf and fern shimmered as though dusted with stardust. Overhead, the twin moons cast a pale, rippling glow across the mossy ground. With each footfall, Lyra heard the stream's lullaby shifting. Now, a steady rhythm like a heartbeat. She drew her dream flute from its leather sheath and whispered a note. Instantly, the glowing moss in her pouch brightened, casting wavering patterns of light on twisted roots and fungal towers. Branches arched like cathedral vaults overhead, and mushrooms the size of lanterns lined her path. Their caps glowed in hues of purple, cerulean, and rose, each pulse in time with the moons. But something was wrong. The lights flickered unevenly, as if struggling to breathe. Lyra paused beside an ancient bollet bearing carved runes. Leaning close, she traced the spirals with her finger. They reminded her of the lullaby her mother used to hum, a melody of comfort and home. "Hush," she murmured, and lifted the dream flute to her lips. She played the first bars of that lullaby, soft, simple, and tender. Immediately, the runes beneath her fingertips glowed golden. A warm breeze rustled the mushroom caps, as if grateful for the song. Lyra's heart lifted, and for a moment, the forest's unease eased. But then the wind shifted, carrying a low, keening note far ahead. Lyra's eyes widened. The stream's melody had become tangled, as though it were calling her name while crying out in warning. Adjusting her satchel, she followed the sound, her boots crunching on bioluminescent pebbles. The path narrowed until she came upon a hollow where the stream widened into a mirror-still pool. Above it arched a broken fragment of the dream bridge, its once glowing stones now dull and cracked. At the water's edge hovered a small firefly, its glow dim and erratic. Lyra recognized it at once. "Fennel," she whispered. The firefly flitted closer, wings buzzing in a faint stutter. Its light flickered with every beat. Suddenly, it spoke in a voice like rustling silk. "Lyra, you came." Lyra knelt. "I heard the song. Are you all right?" Fennel's glow dimmed. "No, the dream currents are fractured. The shard's light is fading. The mirrorling has stolen its heart. I tried to follow, but I was slowed." Lyra's hand flew to her locket. "The mirrorling. It's behind the second moon?" Fennel bobbed sadly. "It forged the broken moon to weaken us. The dream bridge decays without the shard. No child will dream tonight, or ever again, if we fail." A hush fell between them. Lyra's breath trembled. "What can I do?" The firefly flitted closer, its glow steadying. "You must journey to the forest of forgotten names. There lives the first guardian of sleep, a sleepwalking bear giant named Ursent. He holds the shard's heartwood, a piece of its magic carved into his staff. But Ursent has forgotten who he is, and without memory, he cannot awaken his magic." Lyra swallowed. "And then?" "Bring him back to the dream bridge. Unite Heartwood with the shard's altar. The bridge will heal enough to guide you to the next realm." She nodded, determination surging. "Show me the way." Fennel darted ahead, lighting the path. Lyra followed, the stream's lullaby fading behind her, replaced by the soft hum of the forest. As they walked, Fennel spoke of legends, how the guardians each embodied a facet of sleep, memory, time, and hope, and how only a pure heart could restore them. Soon, the mushrooms grew denser. their caps pressing low like watchful sentinels. The air grew thick with spores that danced in Lyra's hair. She lifted her dream flute and played a gentle note, part lullaby, part question, to let the forest know she came in peace. A distant rumble answered. The ground trembled, and from between two massive boletes stumbled a colossal bear, its fur black as night, eyes closed, clutching a gnarled wooden staff taller than Lyra. With each step, the staff glowed faintly, pulsing like a heartbeat out of sync with the moon's. Lyra's heart thundered in her chest, but she held the dream flute steady. Fennel hovered at her shoulder. Drawing a deep breath, Lyra began to play. The lullaby her mother taught her, woven with the forest's hum. At first, the bear halted mid-stride, its head tilting as if listening. Then, its paw slackened around the staff. Golden runes flared along its length. The bear's eyelids fluttered open, and for a moment, Lyra saw confusion in its eyes. Then recognition dawned. Warmth, relief. Lyra? It rumbled in a voice like rolling thunder. Urcent, she whispered, smiling through tears. It's me. The bear knelt, lowering the staff. Light bled from the runes, painting the trees in silver. With gentle hands, Urcent placed the staff at Lyra's feet. You have awakened me, he said, voice soft. Take Heartwood. The path to the dream bridge lies ahead. Lyra lifted the staff, which pulsed warmly against her palm. Together, she, Fennel, and Urcent turned toward the rising arches of the dream bridge, faint but glowing once more. Behind them, the forest sighed in relief, its lullaby restored. But beyond the bridge, the second moon throbbed, and the path to the next realm lay shrouded in fog. Lyra squared her shoulders. With Heartwood in hand and hope in her heart, she stepped forward into the unknown. Lyra emerged from the mists of the dream bridge into a realm where time flowed like a winding silver river backwards. The forest thinned, giving way to a valley lit by both moons, where the broad water mirrored the sky so perfectly it seemed the heavens had cracked in two. At the riverbank, Lyra paused, watching ripples spread upstream as fish leapt from the water back into the sky. Fennel hovered at her shoulder, wings flickering bright. "Here, you must be cautious," the firefly warned. "Every step you take along the bank will carry you farther into the past." Ursint lumbered beside her, leaning on his restored staff. "The guardian awaits," he rumbled, voice heavy with concern. "But he has not yet been born, unless we reverse the flow of time." Lyra tightened her grip on the staff's heartwood end. "Then we must journey upstream," she said, voice steady. "But how will we return?" Ursint's eyes glittered. "Trust in the shard's magic." Taking a deep breath, Lyra stepped onto a flat stone at the water's edge. Instantly, the hem of her dress fluttered upward, as though caught in a backward breeze. She felt her hair lighten, her pulse slowing, and then a startling sensation. The ache of childhood worries slipping away, replaced by the thrill of first discoveries. Behind her, Fennel emitted a bright chord. "Time is unraveling," the firefly called. "We have until the river's source before the past overtakes you." Lyra nodded and led the way, Ursint following carefully so as not to disturb the stones. With each step, the valley around them shifted. Flowers budded, closed. Dew rose from petals, and the moon's cracked reflection in the water mended itself bit by bit. The air grew thick with the scent of rain, yet to fall, and distant thunder retreated. As they traveled, Lyra felt the pull of memories she had never lived, a childhood she never had, lullabies she never heard. Confusion stirred in her heart. "Is this my past?" she whispered. Ursint knelt by her side. The river of reverse time shows potential memories, paths your life could take. To find the guardian, you must choose which memory belongs to your true self. Only then will he awaken. Lyra closed her eyes, recalling her life in Nocturna. The first time she lit a dream lantern, the hush of the forest as her mother sang, the taste of wild mushroom tea with her parents before the memory faded. Those moments glowed more vividly than any other. She opened her eyes and reached into her satchel, drawing her mother's lullaby book. The leather was smooth, pages worn. Slipping her fingers over the title, she felt warmth bloom in her chest, proof of a real memory, not a fleeting possibility. "Heartwood magic," Lyra breathed, raising the staff. a beam of silver light shot from its tip, striking the water. The current hesitated, then reversed its reverse, becoming still. Around them, time paused. Petals hung motionless in midair. A deep voice echoed from the riverbed. Who dares disturb my vigil? The water shimmered, and from its depths rose a figure of water and moonlight. A tall, graceful being with hair like rippling waves, eyes ageless and calm. Beside him floated a silver hourglass, grains of sand flowing upward. This was Cronus, the second guardian of sleep. Lyra stepped forward, heart pounding. I am Lyra of Nocturna. The mirroring stole the Moonlight Shard. Ursint and I have restored one piece. We seek your blessing, and the shard's tide glass, the second relic you guard. Cronus studied her, then smiled faintly. You have traveled against your own future to stand here. Few mortals possess such resolve. He lifted the hourglass. The sand reversed its course, vanishing into the upper bulb. But will you return to your time once you carry tide glass? Will you resist the pull of regrets left behind? Lyra glanced at the cracked moon above. She felt the tug of the past memories she never lived. The sweet ache of alternative lives. Her breath caught, but she remembered the hush of her cottage, the gentle lullaby book in her hand, and the promise she made to save dreams for every sleeping child. I choose to go forward, she said firmly. My memories, both mine and those borrowed, will guide me, but I will not be lost. Cronus nodded and extended his hand. From his fingertips, droplets of moonlight gathered, coalescing into a delicate glass vial shaped like an hourglass. Within, silver sand swirled in both bulbs. Then take the tide glass, Cronus intoned, and with it restore balance to time's flow. Lyra carefully lifted the vial. As she did, the river's current returned to its proper course, water flowing gently toward its source. Flowers bloomed, dew settled, and the second moon's cracked reflection in the sky hummed in resonance. Ursint exhaled a mighty breath. You have done well, Lyra. Fennel's glow brightened. Only one realm remains, the Skybound Library, where the final guardian keeps the shard's celestial quill. Lyra looked at the vial in her hand, then at the path ahead. Above her, the full moon shone clear and whole, as though Cronus's blessing had mended its cracked twin. She nodded, determination renewed. Then onward to the library. With heartwood and tide glass secured, Lyra stepped away from the riverbank. The journey into the realms of memory and time had tested her heart and proved her courage. Ahead lay the final trial, and the mirrorling's shadow grew ever closer. Lyra stood at the foot of a silver staircase, spiraling into the clouds. Each step glowed softly beneath her boots, and wisps of mist curled around the banisters like drifting pages. Above her, the full moon cast a pale halo, guiding the way upward. Fennel flitted ahead, leaving golden sparks in her wake, while Ursyn's heavy footsteps rumbled beneath the starlit sky. "This place," Lyra whispered, "it feels alive." "Indeed," Ursyn rumbled. "Every thought ever dreamt resides here." They climbed until the staircase dissolved into nothingness, and before them hovered a vast expanse of floating bookshelves, endless corridors of ancient tomes suspended on drifting clouds. Every title glimmered. Lullabies of lost children, dreams of the first dawn, whispers from the moon's heart. The air smelled of parchment and starlight. Fennel glowed brighter. "Be wary. Not all memories here are true. The mirrorling has sown false volumes, books that ensnare the mind." Lyra nodded. She clutched her satchel, where heartwood glowed at one side and tide glass shimmered at the other. Above her, a lantern book drifted open, its pages turning on their own. Words rose from the pages, forming ghostly letters in the air before dissolving. A gentle breeze whispered, "Welcome, Seeker." Lyra's pulse quickened. Who speaks? From between two towering shelves emerged a figure robed in scrolls. A librarian woven from letters and margins. Her eyes shone like polished ink pots, and in her hand she held a quill whose tip glowed like a star. "I am Kalyana, guardian of words and keeper of the celestial quill. You have come for the final relic of the Moonlight Shard." Lyra bowed her head. "Yes, Guardian. The dream world is dying. I must unite the celestial quill with the heartwood and tide glass at the shard's altar." Kalyana's quill traced a circle in the air, and pages fluttered down, forming a path. "Then follow me." But beware, to claim the quill, you must face your deepest memory and distinguish truth from illusion. They walked the winding path. Every shelf they passed displayed memories from Lyra's life. Her first steps in the mushroom cottage, the taste of sweet tea, giggles shared with imaginary friends. Each scene shimmered like a hollow book, and tears pricked Lyra's eyes. Hold fast to what is yours, Kalyana whispered. Ahead, a cluster of books pulsed red. Lyra's breath caught. One titled "The Day You Were Abandoned" hovered before her. Its pages flipped violently. She remembered the day her parents vanished, their car's taillights receding, the locket left behind. Pain surged in her chest. False, Fennel murmured. They would never abandon you. Lyra reached out and touched the book. It shattered into dust, revealing a hidden alcove beyond. She steeled herself and stepped through. Inside, a single pedestal held the celestial quill, a silvery feather swirling with starlight. As she drew near, memories rose around her. Her parents' gentle lullaby, the warmth of their embrace, their whispered promise that no dreamer is ever alone. Lyra felt her throat tighten. A soft recording of her mother's voice drifted. Find the shard, Lyra. Our love will guide you. Tears spilled down her cheeks. She reached out and lifted the quill. It hummed, and stardust drifted from its tip, weaving around her like a protective cloak. Suddenly, the shelves rattled, and Kalyana's voice echoed. You must choose. Keep this memory, or give it back to save the dream world. Lyra looked at the glowing staff ends in her satchel, the heartwood and tied glass waiting to be joined. She thought of every child in every realm, waiting for peaceful dreams. With a steady breath, she pressed the quill's tip against her locket, tracing her parents' initials etched in silver. The quill absorbed the light of her memory, then lifted free. Lyra felt a moment of loss, a hollow ache where the memory once lived. But the quill pulsed stronger, as if nourished by her love. Kalyana appeared at her side, bowing. You have proved that true courage lies in sacrifice. The celestial quill is yours. Lyra gathered the quill and turned to leave the alcove. As she stepped through the shattered shelf, the false memories dispersed into motes of light. The true memories, her parents' lullaby, the warmth of home, remained etched in her heart. Outside, Urcent and Fennel waited beneath the twin moons. Lyra held the 3 relics aloft: heartwood, tide glass, and the celestial quill. Together, they glowed with a brilliant radiance that pierced the clouds. The path to the shard's altar awaits, Kalyana intoned, her voice fading into the wind. May your heart guide you home. Lyra nodded, resolve shining in her eyes. With the final relic in hand and memories of love fueling her courage, she stepped back onto the silver staircase. Below her, the world of Nocturna awaited, its fate resting on the final chapter of her journey. Lyra descended the silver staircase, the 3 relics nestled safely in her satchel. Below, the air quivered with a hollow hush. No mushroom lights, no starlit glow, only a suffocating grey mist. This was the hollow garden where forgotten dreams went to rot. Urcent's fur bristled. The mirrorling's domain, he rumbled. Every wilted petal here once carried a child's hope. Fennel hovered close, its light a fragile spark. The mirrorling feeds on despair. We must be swift. They stepped into the garden. Beneath their feet, cobblestones were cracked and overgrown with tendrils of black ivy that writhed like serpents. All around, once luminous mushrooms lay collapsed, their caps shriveled. Pools of stagnant water mirrored warped reflections of the moons. A low, mocking laugh echoed through the fog. "Welcome, little dreamer," it hissed. Lyra steadied herself. "Show yourself." From behind a broken gazebo emerged the mirrorling. A shifting figure of shadows and pale light, its form flickering like a broken reflection. Where its eyes should have been, 2 dim voids stared. "You carry the relics," it said, voice dripping malice. "But can you carry hope?" Lyra clutched her satchel. "I carry more than relics. I carry every dream that ever whispered in my heart." With a gesture, the mirrorling raised a hand. The ivy writhed faster, wrapping around littered relics and choking the air with whispers of regret. then prove it. At the garden's center stood a stone altar, cracked and overgrown. This was the Shard's altar, where she must unite the relics. But to reach it, Lyra first had to cross a field of decayed petals, each one echoing a child's unfinished wish. Lyra breathed deeply and lifted Heartwood. She struck it once against the ground. Warm light pulsed outward, banishing the nearest tangle of ivy. She advanced a few steps, then paused, tears pooling in her eyes as a broken petal at her feet whispered her childhood fear. No one remembers me. Her heart trembled, but she remembered her parents' lullaby, the firefly's courage, Ursint's gentle roar. She pressed the celestial quill to the petal. The quill's starlight wove through the wilted edge, mending the bloom into radiant white. It floated skyward, joining a new constellation of healed dreams above. Fennel's glow flared. Well done. Encouraged, Lyra pressed on, setting tide glass upon each fallen blossom. Where its silver sand touched the ground, time straightened, replaying moments of laughter and warmth, restoring the garden in miniature. The mirrorling shrieked, its form splintering. You cannot repair what's been broken. Lyra stood before the altar. Its surface bore ancient runes, faintly pulsing in sync with the moon's. The three relics tugged toward one another. Gathering her courage, Lyra placed Heartwood in the carved grove, set the tide glass beside it, and held the celestial quill aloft. A beam of moonlight shot through the cracked moon above, striking the altar. Light cascaded over the relics, fusing them into a single, brilliant crystal shard. The Moonlight Shard, reborn in her hands. Its glow washed through the garden, turning grey mist to morning dew, choking ivy to blossoms once more. The mirrorling recoiled, its form unraveling like smoke in sunlight. Lyra felt no triumph in its defeat, only a quiet compassion for a creature born of her own fears. Softly, she whispered, "Your fear made flesh, now be fear no more." The shadow creature paused, then let out a sigh like falling rain. Its voided eyes glimmered once with understanding, then dissolved into a flurry of pale motes that lifted toward the sky, joining the healed dreams above. Around her, the hollow garden burst into life. mushroom lanterns pulsed with gentle light. Petals unfolded, and the air filled with the renewed lullaby of the stream. Ursent knelt, and Fennel danced in celebration. Lyra held the restored shard close, its warmth like a heartbeat in her hands. Above them, the twin moons shone in perfect harmony, the broken one mended, shining blue and silver. The dream bridge's arches glowed brightly, guiding the way home. Lyra exhaled, a smile soft upon her lips. "We did it," she whispered, not just for herself, but for every dreamer in every world. The moment Lyra placed the newly forged Moonlight Shard upon the altar center, a wave of gentle light swept across Nocturna. The twin moons, once split and shadowed, glowed as one, their silvery beams weaving through mushroom groves and misted rivers alike. In the hollow garden, wilted blooms burst into radiant life. Petals glowed softly, humming the restored lullaby of dreams. The forest canopy stirred, as if waking from a loss of a long slumber, and the dream bridge's arches shone so brightly that children's dream petals drifted across its span, eager to carry gentle visions once more. Lyra, Ursent, and Fennel watched in awe. Lyra felt the shard's warmth settle against her chest, a steady heartbeat echoing every dream in the valley. Tears of joy streamed down her cheeks. She knelt by the altar and whispered, "May every dreamer sleep in peace." Ursent placed a massive paw upon the ancient stone, and with a resonant rumble, the ground beneath them hummed in harmony. Fennel circled above, trailing sparks that seeded new dream lanterns across the riverbank. As dawn approached, the bioluminescent mushrooms faded into pale hues, yet their glow remained in the hearts of Nocturna's dwellers. From nearby mushroom homes, tiny figures emerged, children of the valley, rubbing sleep from their eyes, unaware of the peril that had passed, but feeling somehow that this morning's air carried an extra touch of magic. Lyra rose and tucked the Moonlight Shard safely into her locket. She had one final task: to return to her own cottage and rest. Embraced by the soft light of the restored moons, she bid farewell to her companions. "Thank you," she told Ursent, whose eyes gleamed with pride. "And to you, Fennel, your song guided me. Your heart guided us all, Fennel glowed before darting back to the stream. The silver staircase appeared once more, leading Lyra toward her mushroom-roofed home. Each step felt lighter than the last, as though the weight of fear and doubt had been lifted from her shoulders. When she reached her door, she paused, inhaled the scent of moss and moonlight, and stepped inside. Her cottage was warm and still. By the window stood her mother's lullaby book, waiting patiently. Lyra opened it and sang the first verse softly. Sleep now, dear dreamer, moonbeams guard the night. In realms of starlit wonder, find peace until the light. She closed the book, placed the locket by her pillow, and lay down on the moss-strewn mattress. Outside, the river's lullaby returned, clear and comforting. Lyra's eyelids grew heavy, and as she drifted into sleep, she knew two truths: that love conquers even the deepest shadows, and that every dream, no matter how small, holds the power to heal a broken world. And so, under the watchful glow of a mended moon, Lyra slept, dreaming of bright tomorrows, safe in the knowledge that Nocturna's light would never fade again. As our journey with Lyra comes to a close, may the light of the Moonlight Shard guard your dreams tonight. Thank you for visiting Dreamy Sleep Tales, where every story kindles hope and peace in your heart. If you enjoyed this adventure, please give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and share it with everyone you know. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Tell us in the comments how you liked the story. Until next time, sleep well, dream deeply, and remember, even the smallest light can heal the darkest night. Good night, dear listeners.